Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Whiskey Wednesday Show with your hosts Ken Tizzard and Music for Goats. Brought to you in full color and stereo sound with amplification provided by Trainer. Broadcasting into the world from Storyhouse Studios in Campbellford, Ontario, you'll hear the best of old country, folk, Americana, punk rock, and 80s music delivered into your homes every week for free. And don't forget your regular dose of new and original songs from Music for Goats. Never be alone on a Wednesday night again, 8 p.m. Eastern and 9:30 for those of you in Newfoundland. Join the Whiskey Wednesday regulars on Facebook to be a part of the conversation, or watch on YouTube as well. Pour a drink, a cup of tea, or a nice cold long tooth. Roll up your best smoke and sit back and relax. Don't forget to hit the share button to help spread the word. The Whiskey Wednesday Show, every week. Cheers. Just like that, here we are again.
Yes, indeed.
It is Wednesday night. How you doing, Neil?
Good, thanks.
Excellent. Oh, you've got a really nice shirt on tonight.
Thank you.
Matches your guitar.
It does.
Very
Kind
good.
of.
You're looking off with the orange in your tie, and
You know,
you're awfully together tonight.
well, it happens on
You
occasion.
got a date later on or something you haven't told us about?
Yeah, no.
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 Oh, okay, well then. Good to see you.
Thank you, and you?
Mr. Grant, how are you? You're looking
I'm
fabulous
great.
as well. You're looking
Yeah.
much the same as usual. But,
Yeah.
You're often fabulous.
I try to be.
That's very good. Things are good with you?
Things are great, yeah.
Excellent. And to our drummer, Dave Lawrence, it is his birthday today. Dave is 24 years old. And
And acts like a 14-year-old,
acts
just
like
like
a
the rest of
14-year-old.
us, right?
On the best of days.
happy birthday, David.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Whiskey Wednesday show, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ken Tizzard. We are music for goats. And I don't even know how to sort of intro tonight. I'm so excited. Hey, Tony Arkell. You spoiled, yes, right. I know you had the capers in between. Steve, Joe, Ron, just doing a little check-in here. Richard, the regular gang is here. Fantastic. Tonight's a real special night for me. I've got, I had the chance to speak with one of my idols recently, which is weird. Because the whole thing about what are you at is just sort of me calling friends and saying, what are you at? That's where it started. On the telephone, actually just calling people over. And, hey, what are you at? You're on the Whiskey Wednesday show. Brian Finley was the first person. And yeah, so it's evolved, and now every now and again, an opportunity to actually interview somebody who I don't know comes along, and this one with Joey from DOA is real special because I've been listening to DOA since I was a teenager, and yeah, the punk rock thing with My World. Well, you'll learn a little bit about it tonight. And for those of you who don't know, the the punk rock thing in my world has been huge. Punk rock and skateboarding kind of. I hate to say saved my life. That sounds so fucking dramatic, but no, definitely sort of, it was a big part of my life. Big part of my life that helped me get away from a bunch of really bad shit in my life, and that's pretty cool. So to speak with Joey from DOA, it was a real pleasure, and you guys are going to get to see that. We're going to play a couple tunes first. This is a Ramones tune. We're going to play a bunch of punk tunes tonight, but we're not going to do them punk way, as it would be. Punk way. I don't even know what punk way is. This is the way that the goats do it. This is a song called Pet Cemetery. It goes like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Under the arc of a weather-stained boards, ancient goblins and warlords come out of the ground, not making a sound. The smell of death is all around. And at night when the cold wind blows, no one cares, nobody knows. I don't wanna be buried in a pet cemetery. I don't want to live my life again. No, I don't want to be buried in a pet cemetery. I don't want to live my life again. Follow Victor to the sacred place. This ain't a dream I can't escape. Molars and fangs to clicking of bones. Spirits dance among the tombstones. And at night when the moon is bright, someone cries, someone
moon is full, the air is still. All of a sudden I feel a chill. Victor is grinning, flesh rotting away. Skeletons dance, I curse this day. And at night when the wolves cry out, listen close and you will hear me shout. I don't wanna be buried in a pet cemetery. I don't want to live my life again. No, I don't wanna be buried in a pet cemetery. I don't want to live my life again. I don't want to live my life again. No, I don't want to live my life again.
Little Ramones there for you all on a Wednesday night. As we were rounding out the end, I was just remembering like 5 minutes ago when we were working on the end for the other song, and all these numbers were going through my head. Oh my! Hey Jones, Motivate, nice to see you. Nice to see you. Oh man, so I don't even know what to say. It's been a great week. We had a really great time at the benefit on Saturday. The benefit for Dawson. They raised over, at last count, was over $5,000, which is damn incredible. Really nice to hear that. And sorry, dry throat a little bit. It was a great turnout. It was a lot of fun to play. We had a really fun set. It was really nice. We just went up and kind of blasted through a little 40-minute sampler of all the new stuff. It was really, really fun. Great crowd, great audience, and really nice other bands too. The Blue Eyed Dogs played. They were fantastic. And the Janet Jeffrey Band, who is always fantastic as well. So it was just a great night all around. We're gonna get into some Joey Keithley. Trying to think of like what I can even tell. There's nothing to set up. It's the interview is there. It's all in there. I was gonna sort of say some stuff, but like it's kind of there. It's kind of there. In honor of DOA, we thought we'd do a little DOA tune for you. There's a song called "The Enemy," and DOA have never played it like this. I mean, sure. Joey, if you have, if you're watching and you say, that's the way it used to be, before we changed it, then that's fine. When Joey used to play in his bluegrass band before DOA and the Skulls, Joey had a bluegrass band. It's amazing what he told me. I didn't know he played bluegrass.
You peer through the darkness, billy clubs aimed. They smash you once or twice till you don't look the same. You got to know who your enemy is. The enemy, you got to know who your enemy is. The enemy. They rope you to a time clock to keep you on the line. Now you're losing the pieces of your mind. You got to know who your enemy is. The enemy, you got to know who your enemy is. The enemy. The newsmen are lying, drawing lines black and white, making you believe it's your brother. You've got to fight. You got to know who your enemy is. The enemy, you got to know who your enemy is. The enemy, you got to know who your enemy is. The enemy, you got to know who your enemy is. The enemy, the enemy, the enemy, the enemy.
Just like we practiced.
In fact, that was not the way we practiced it. It was my mistake. But you guys carried on and followed me through. Thank you very much. That's what bands do sometimes for each other. We're really excited to play some of this punk tonight. We got some Clash coming up and some Husker Du and some Motorhead before the night's out. But we're going to start the night right now, right early. Is it time enough yet? How far into the night are we? We're at 8:11. We're going to start Joey a little early because we get into quite a deep discussion. So, ladies and gentlemen, pour yourself a drink, roll yourself a smoke or a puff, a cup of tea, whatever your choice is. Sit back and let's learn about one of my idols, Joey Shithead from DOA. So I'm gonna take you back for a little bit to get this all set up here. At 13 years old, I was too skinny to be a jock. I was too sort of poor to hang out with the rich kids. My dad drank too much, so I tried to stay away from the home. I found a bass guitar and I started playing, and I joined a band with my buddy Clark Hancock, and he invited me into the downtown St. John's scene, which I had never been a part of. And I went down with my skateboard and me and Clark, and I met all these punk rockers. And I was 13, and some of them were a little older at the time, and they were all just raving about the DOA show. And, oh, you're just a couple months too late, Ken. You missed the biggest event in Newfoundland history. And this was, of course, Bob Armstrong and Craig Murray. And as kids back home in Newfoundland, they got the DIY punk ethic way before anybody else, and they taught the rest of us. And over the years, we collectively brought down SNFU, Deja Voodoo, a few other acts as well. But the DOA show that I missed still gets talked about to this day. Do you have any recollection of that Newfoundland show in 1984?
Well, the funny thing was getting there, right? Because we just gotten back from Europe, and we were at our roadie's place. It was out in suburban Toronto somewhere. Like, we had the van stored at his mother's place or something like that, and we're sitting around watching a hockey game or something like that. Yeah, we're Canadians, right? And then and I started looking at the map, and I said, "We got to get fucking going." you know how far away this place is, like, and we're used to distances, like traveling over Western Canada, all over the United States for like a long time at that point, right? 84, I guess, right? So
yeah.
6 years we've been doing this, and that was our first big trip to Europe, right? And so we started heading out there, and Dave Gray, our old guitar player, rest his soul, he's not with us anymore, went like, holy Christ, you're right. So we got up at 6 in the morning and started driving. And of course, what we encountered was a gigantic snowstorm on the way, right? Being from Vancouver, I know snow, but it's not what we grew up with, right? And and we got to the harbor in Sydney, and we went, holy crap, there's like icebergs everywhere, right? And then got in the ferry to go to the Rock, and went like, oh, okay, they mean business here, because they had to tie down the vehicle with these chains. And I looked, they're bolting down the freight trucks, right? And we're going, okay, this is pretty serious. I won't go on too long about this, but we're on the deck, and sitting in our seats, and there's this line on the wall and a chain with a ball. And as the ship was listing either way, the ball would get closer to the line. So Wimpy, he goes to one of the deckhands, what does that mean? And the guy goes like in the broadest accent, well, I'll tell you, boy, if that ball goes past the line, we're in the drink for sure. And we're going like, and there are people puking all over the place. The sea was so rough. Anyways, we got there, and it was an amazing experience, right? It's a beautiful town. I've only been a couple of times, and like it was jam-packed. I can't remember, we might have played really late or something like that, but somehow we got there so late they postponed the show like by a couple hours. Instead of playing at 11, we played like 1 in the morning or something like that.
I'm not sure the details of the lateness, but I called my buddy Bob Armstrong, who was one of the kids who put together this show. And he told me the story, and he wasn't sure if you guys knew. He knew that he had been speaking with Ken Lester, doing all the coordination. And he knew that you had just arrived in Toronto from Europe on the 4th, and the show was on the 7th.
Right.
And on the day of the show, the Village in Pleasantville found out what was happening and canceled it. They said, we're not having 200 punk rockers in here. And they knew that you were on the ferry and you'd been through a snowstorm, and they didn't have a venue that morning of the show. And they struggled, and they ended up getting down to Oil Patch. They had to rent $200 for it, which was a lot of money back then for the kids. But it happened, and it became a part of this, like growing up as a punk rocker in Newfoundland. It is part of our Newfoundland punk rock heritage. Is that first DOA show that kind of sparked a scene, which grew, and people are still talking about it today. It's an amazing stamp you made.
I was there in St. John's like maybe 12, 15 years ago. And the article in the paper was, do you remember this show? It changed the Newfoundland music scene. That was the headline. So, and we're going like, really? Oh, okay, whatever. It was cool.
It's amazing. Did you, in the early days of punk rock, there was a lot of this sort of kids being very involved in these DIY type of things, and it was the community that supported each other. We slept on each other's couches, we fed each other, we all toured around, we shared gear. Did something like that, what happened in Newfoundland, was that a regular part of your occurrence? Like out of every 10 shows, how many would be a show that was like that, sort of put together by amateurs?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we'd play like a bigger show, like we'd play with our buddies Dead Kennedys, or sometimes Black Flag, and it'd be like a big hall in San Francisco or LA. You get like, we played some shows down there in the early days for like 5,000 people would show up at an arena type thing. But say the first time we went to Reno, we got this is sort of the 7 second scene and all that, like a pretty good little music scene for a small town. And we met some guys at a shopping mall we didn't really know, and then we started following them into the burbs. And of course, we're going to the manager, Ken, like, who booked this show? Where is this show type thing, right? And it was just like, we played in the garage, and it was 80 people in the garage. So I had to play my guitar like this, so I didn't get my teeth taken out. I was like, it was so jammed And the same sort of thing too, like first time we went to Washington, D.C. So yeah, you're right. This is a similar experience. We got put on at a high school in Richmond, Virginia, across the river from D.C. And of course, like Ian Mackay, Henry Rollins, they're all like 16, 17 years old. And I go, oh yeah, this DOA guys, I've heard of them, right? You know, they're, you know, kind of famous or they're whatever, right? You know, and we're going like, and we're saying thing, the band always saying to the manager, who the hell booked this type thing? One of the greatest shows ever. It's just kind of like, you just gotta kind of roll with it. And and once in a while you get a show that doesn't turn out. There's 20 people there. You kind of go like, okay, whatever. That's part of being a musician, right?
It's, you play for the people that are there, you know, the people that aren't there.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, they missed. Yeah.
They missed it. Now, so I want to go back a little bit. In the 70s, you were sort of in a rock-inspired band you were called Stone Crazy at first. And that was sort of like Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin stuff. And that there was a time you had a couple shows where you did that and you didn't really find that rock and roll was gelling with your musical voice. What brought it to suddenly, because I know that next you talk about a lot about the Ramones' first album and how that kind of sort of painted the picture of what punk rock could be for you. What was it that sort of brought you from wanting to sort of play Zeppelin and Deep Purple to wanting to not play like the Ramones to play punk rock? Was it the youthful anger, rage at the world? Was it the sound? What made you wanted to do that?
Well, we got our first show, the Stone Crazy Band. We got 3 nights at a little town in BC called Merritt, which I call Merritt, BC. And the guy fired us after one night. The patrons were threatening to beat us up. We put a Black Sabbath song, and that was my turn for the lead. I didn't know lead very well at that point. And I just went to my Marshall and just rolled everything to 10 and then played the lead. And these guys are like lumberjacks. They're threatening to kill us, right? So the guy fired us. And then I got in an argument because I was like the guy who usually did negotiating with everything. Still am, like, you know, sort of pseudo manager or whatever, right? And the guy went, hey, I'm doing you a favor by firing you because you get killed if you hang around here anymore. I go, oh yeah, you haven't heard the last of me, you bastard type thing, right? And I never got any dough out of him, right? But on the way back, we went, well, you know, maybe this rock and roll is not all it's cut out to be, right? We'd done like 2 shows, you know, like veterans, like so. And then Dimwit said, well, maybe we should start a punk rock band. And we'll call it Joey Shithead and the Marching Morons. And we went, well, that sounds pretty good. And we were like 18, 19, you know, we didn't know Jack, right? And so we did start a band called the Skulls.
Okay.
In August 1977 in Vancouver.
Yeah.
I played a few shows there. We moved to Toronto, played a few shows in Toronto, and then broke up type thing. But really, my political thing started way back when I was a kid. I was really interested. Like I thought in high school, I thought, okay, I got to play defense for the Boston Bruins. It was my favorite team. I loved Bill Esposito, Jerry Cheevers, all that kind of thing. And then it turned out, well, I wasn't going to play defense for them for any team in the NHL. I was okay. You know, the only thing I ever led in hockey at was like high sticking and fighting majors, right? But never goal scoring, right? Anyways, so then I thought I'd go to university to be a civil rights lawyer, right? Yeah. Inspired by some stuff going on in the United States and anti-war protests and stuff like that. And I went to university for 6 months, and all of a sudden I was in a punk rock band, and I never became a lawyer. So all's well that ends well, right? So, but it was really the political expression of the time. You know, the Cold War was building up between Russia and the United States. Environmental degradation, racism, Vietnam War. These were all circumstances that fed into that, and I became very anti all of that, right? And trying to do something right for the world. That led me into politics. So when I heard about punk rock, you know, like we saw the Damned on TV, who were a great band, but not really political. Yeah. And we saw the Pistols were making a huge impact. But we saw really a key one was the Clash, because they were like political, and you know, and they spoke about what was going on. We're like, wow, okay, this is this is what we thought rock should be,
Mhm.
like what we thought was the 70s before it became completely corporate.
Right. You know, bands like Stiff Little Fingers, you know, coming out of Ireland, you know, lots of strife there. The Exploited, you know, they raged against the UK and about Maggie Thatcher. Dead Kennedys had all of America to pick on, and including, you know, going back from Reagan on the way through. The Clash had their own UK thing going, but they were also doing, you know, on board with the USA. They were kind of projecting that way.
Yep.
DOA as a Canadian band, like all those bands had stuff immediately regional happening. Whereas in Canada, it's just like, we have healthcare. Like, what did you have to rage about? And that was what I always found interesting about DOA is you took on issues that other bands sort of had regional interests in. You did it on a global level. You went after everybody. You went after every politician in the world. You went after every sort of bad thing you can think of. I think that you have touched them in some way, but you haven't been a regional sort of, there's never been a singing out about Canada. Did you ever notice that, like being Canadian, like we didn't have that sort of, you know, war-torn country that was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's good things about Canada that we have been involved in wars. I mean, obviously, but and I have a great deal of respect for veterans who put their life on the line, right? Of course. But it's just one of those things, like being so close to the United States and Vancouver. Like, you know, I always feel like, you know what, I was 20 miles too far north and 2 years too young. Otherwise, I would have been the guy in Vietnam, you know, with somebody trying to blow my head off, right?
Yeah.
And I was in high school, and it's like I saw a lot of the Vietnam War on TV when I was like 10 years old, and it wasn't censored like the way war is on TV now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite censored, but you know, it was like really graphic every night at 6:00 because my dad would get home from work, turn TV. He was like a news junkie just like me, right? So and so that, you know, so it was horrific, and kind of one of those things. Greenpeace got us involved too, right? Because it started in Vancouver, and there was a protest in '72, and I guess I was in grade 10 or 11, and the Americans were testing nuclear arms in the island, Chicken Islands off Alaska, and Greenpeace organized all the kids from high school to go down and protest at the American Embassy downtown Vancouver. And I did that, really politicized me, and me and all my friends like Dimwit, Wimpy, Jerry Hanna, that we were in high school, like with our just horrible, terrible rock band that we had, right? Just like unlistenable type thing. But we got really interested in politics, right? And this was a big impetus, was this protest against arms testing. So I don't know, just kind of ended up with like a kind of a global type view, I suppose.
It's amazing. I don't know any other artist that has done it, you know, from a hardcore perspective, the way that you have, just taking on the whole world. I guess it's more of a human thing than a nationalistic thing, it seems like, with you, and that's really, really fantastic.
Yeah, thanks.
And it looks like we're back. So amazing talking to Joey and hearing these stories. I was so happy that he opened up and talked to me the way he did. It was really cool thing for me to do, and I'm glad to be able to share it with all of you. We got a little picture of our Jackie there somewhere. So I cut Jack's hair there last week, and Maddie, Begbie, our friend, is knitting these little sweaters for dogs. So she brought over the sweater just after I'd given him a haircut, and I laid him on the counter, and his tongue falls out of his mouth a little bit now because he got some teeth taken out. So he's always the tongue is always kind of there doing something. And yeah, that's how Jackie's looking these days. I just thought I'd show you all a little bit of that, you know? For all the people that are tuned in for the DOA hardcore punk rock stuff, here we go. This is my cute little dog. Oh my. We got a video there though, a little before we get into the next song. We got a video there, don't we, of a new skate video. You guys love my skate videos, right? Check this one out. This one's awesome. I don't think I've played it yet. Barry's just looking for it. I'm out of order. I know. Barry's out of order.
No, you're out of order.
I'm actually out of order. Allison said, you're not putting things in order tonight? I said, no, we'll just wing it. Here we are.
'Cause I don't have a moment of pain-free living, and at times I can take it for a while. And And sometimes it takes away a part of me that's real. And other times just wanna close my eyes and hide. I like to get high. I like to get higher. I like to get more high than I was before. I like to get stoned. I like to get stoneder. I like to get more stoned than I was before. Here we go.
See, that one was even more exciting because I wasn't talking over it, giving advice or anything. I was
No,
just
it was
moving
just-
around, listening. You know, it's kind of a mixed thing, ladies and gentlemen. As much as I'm loving the skateboarding, and it's a great thing, it's also all these things have our music behind it from the new album, which is a little bit of subliminal placement there, you know. Okay, enough about that. Should we do exactly, Tony Arkell? The second part of the Joey interview is considerably longer, and it's just fantastic. But we're gonna keep things alive here for a minute. We're gonna do a Clash tune. This is actually an old traditional tune called Stranger that we kind of mash into the Clash tune. But just realizing I forgot to put my mic back after the break. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Barry's going, that's what happened. That's what happened. Now you can hear me. A little ASMR for y'all. Here we go. A little Stranger into some Clash. I was a stranger passing through your town. Well, I was a stranger passing through your town. When I asked you for a favor, good Lord, you turned me down. Hey, Johnny Nolan, you're late. Well, if you see me walking, hear me talking by that railway track. If you hear me walking, you see me talking by that railway track. You can bet your mind, sweet mama, I won't be coming back. Well, honey, I'm so lonesome, I don't know what to do. Honey, I'm so lonesome, I don't know what to do. The way you treat me, sweet mama, I hope you're lonely too. Well, I rode the Southern, I rode the L&M. I rode the Southern, I rode the L&M. If the police don't get me, I'll ride them again. Well, please, Mr. Brakeman, don't you put me off your train. Please, Mr. Brakeman, don't put me off your train. But it sure looks cold, and I think it's gonna rain. 1, 2, 3. Well, I'm running, police on my back. I've been hiding, police on my back. There was a shooting, police on my back. And the victim, he ain't coming back. I've been running Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I've been running Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Saturday and Sunday. What have I done? What have I done? What have I done? I've been running down a one-way track. They will catch me if I did drive back. Won't you give me all the speed I lack? 'Cause I'm running, police on my back. I've been running Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I've been running Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. What have I done? 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 What have I done?
Very cool. Little Police on My Back. So, I talk a lot about punk rock and how it, saved me. It wasn't so much the music, but it was the scene. But the scene was the scene because of the music, if that makes sense. It seemed like the place to be for everybody that didn't have anywhere else to be. People who were homeless, poor, unemployed, people from yuppie sort of neighborhoods. Some of the kids came down because they didn't feel comfortable, in their suburban housing. And that was fine. That was cool. They were known as kind of the rich kids, and there was some rich punkers and some rich skateboarders. They always had nice shoes. And then there was, my hardcore gang, me and Clark and Danny Thomas and Mike Bueller and Jeff Seymour, and sort of, it was a nice, tight group. And we all bonded through music. And I don't know. It was a really big thing. DOA was a big part of that. That War on 45 album, which is behind me. That album I had on vinyl, and it circulated between myself and Jeff Seymour and Mike Bueller and Clark Hancock's house so many times. I don't know where it ended off. I had to buy a new one. So if either of you guys have it out there, I'd like my original pressing. It's probably worth about fucking $400 right now. Can't find an SNFU if no one else wanted to play anywhere on vinyl, and I had like 3 copies of that. Ooh. And even though punk rock music was very aggressive and very fast, there was also every now and again a punk rocker who would do something completely different. And for me, that was always the combination of Bob Mould and Grant Hart, the songs that they wrote and played with Husker Du and in their various solo projects. Beautiful songs. How you doing, Barry? I gotta pull this mic back a little bit, Barry, because I want to make sure it's not sort of blowing up there. This is one of those songs that got me through a lot. And I know Clark used to play it a lot too. Anyways.
I'm down and again, and I don't know how to tell you, but maybe this time I can't come back, 'cause I might be too far down. I wish for real that I could turn it on and off like hot and cold and up and down, because I'm down again. 'cause I can't even laugh or cry anyway, 'cause I just can't do it. If it was so easy to be happy, why am I so down? When all I can do is sit here and wonder if it's going to end, or if I should just go away forever. When I sit and think, I wish that I just could die, or let someone else be happy by setting my own self free. You don't want the emotion, 'cause the taste it leaves is for real, and nothing's ever real until it's gone, and I might be too far down. I'm too far down. That's for Clarky tonight. Little Husker Du, Too Far Down. You should listen to the original of it, actually. It's fantastic. He plays it on a 12 string. He just bashes the hell out of it. It's amazing. It's an amazing piece of punk rock acoustic
Acousticism. There you go.
punk rock acousticism. Thank you to the wisest man I know for making up the perfect word.
There you go.
I just love that. I just love that. We're gonna watch the Joey Shithead part 2, which is this is a bit of a long haul side. So let's sit back and enjoy it. It's fantastic. We're gonna come back with a couple tunes, and I got a few more things to talk about. One correction from last week. Mike Monroe made me aware of something that I had mistakenly talked about, but we'll talk about that after. Let's get back to some Joey Shithead right here now on the Whiskey Wednesday show. Barry?
I wonder if you can see what this world has done to me. It stripped me bare and took everything. Now there's nothing left, no, not a damn thing. It took my job, my wife and my kids, and then paid for clothes. I think I put my lid, now a welfare line is all that's left. Yeah, I think I'm dying from this corporate stand. I wanna go home, but I can't, 'cause now I live in a car. I used to have a lot, I had a chance, right now I'm bleeding and scarred. I park by the Walmart every night, keep my eyes wide open for cops, but my gas is a shopping cart. I combed the alleys looking for cans. People laugh and cops harass. I think I've had about all I can stand. I wanna go home, but I can't, 'cause now I live in a car. I used to have a lot, I had a chance, but now I'm bleeding the scar. I park by the Walmart every night, keep my eyes wide open for cops. But my gas is low and I got no home, 'cause now I live in a car. I live in a car. I live in a car. I live in a
Talk minus action equals zero. That's become sort of your slogan. It is the name of one of the albums. In your opinion, I've heard a lot of people speaking on it. You know, people from Billy Bragg recently at Folk Alliance talking about, you know, the artist's role as a changer in the world of creating political awareness and stuff. As an artist, do you feel it's your role to create art or affect minds? And when you're writing, are you making art, or are you thinking of, oh, I need to get a point out to people? And is that a conscious thing in your world?
It's conscious for sure. I think you do both, right? You know, like, put it this way, like all artists, musicians, you know, that's what we strive to do. Like, we all try to entertain people, try to write good songs, put on good shows. That's just what you try and do if you're going to be successful, or have even just have fun. You know, just you know, it was just a jam band in a rehearsal space with your high school buddies or whatever, right? But there's about 10% of us, I'm estimating, that think that you can use that as a force for good, right? And I really picked up on that early, right? And I think that's instrumental. That, you know, I look at people like Jimi Hendrix, one of my favorites, and Country Joe McDonald, not really known these days, but he was the anti-Vietnam War protester. You know, yeah, really did some great songs. And so people like that, I think, were, like, to me, were really inspiring when I was a kid, like in high school, that junior high type thing. And I really think you have a platform that you can go and do stuff. And here's your chance to speak to people, right? So I do write songs in a conscious way, but I also realize that you have to come up with stuff that's just like funny or odd too, because it's like, when I first listened to the Ramones and I heard like stuff like Beat on the Brat and No Daddy-O, I Don't Want to Go Down the Basement, I go, we listen to like, wow, these guys are really weird, but really interesting. Like, we're like 18, we heard these guys, right? And we're going like, wow. Oh, so I think you have to have fun too. So, you know, the new age goals were always like, okay, go out, play loud, obnoxious punk rock. That's rule number 1. 2, go change the world. 3, have a lot of fun while you're out there doing both, right? And those are the 3 rules that we still go by, right? You know, even though we're much, much older and the world's changed in the meantime. So I think you have to be conscious and try and write for a purpose. And some people are good at it. Some people are just learning it, but I never think that you shouldn't try it. Just some people don't. I mean, you listen to some forms of music and it's just like, oh my God, this, like, it can be massively successul, but I just listen to it like, the first thing I want to do is reach for like a barf bag, right? This is like, I'm not going to name names, but there's some terrible music out there, right? That is skillfully done and sold way more than I'll ever sell, but whatever, right? You know, that doesn't mean I have to like it, because I don't. Yeah.
I have a lot of respect, and I understand exactly what you're talking about there. Yeah, no, there's you know, it's the McDonald's syndrome. You know, you want to find some of the best food in the world. You're going to go to a little restaurant that seats 20 people a night with a chef who cooks 1 meal a night, and it's perfect. And then you've got McDonald's, which has sold how many billions of people this year. It's music can be like that too. It's a consumer-based world, and you know, there's room for everything, I think. You know, I know what I like to have on my plate, and it's, you know, it's well, it is what it is.
Yeah, that was the thing when I first heard punk rock. We went, wow. Dimwit brought home the first Ramones album. We put it on, and as I just said, that like, wow, this is really strange. All the songs sound the same. They have really odd lyrics. It doesn't sound like Led Zeppelin. It doesn't, you know, I mean, like whatever the, you know, the popular band of the day was type thing, right? And disco was popular, like when we were at that stage too.
That's right.
Yeah, but it just went like, okay. And then the funny thing was the Ramones came to town. This was like 1978, like June maybe.
Mhm.
They put Commodore Ballroom, about 1,200 people.
Yep.
And they had sold two tickets. And so they put on the radio, like a big rock station, come on down, see the Ramones for free. And the guy, Drew Burns, who later became friends, he ran the Commodore. It's like, okay, we got to get some people in here, like buying booze and make some money, get some of our money back. So about 100 of us showed up at this free show for the Ramones. 2 people had paid.
Wow.
And the Lute from Seattle came on, who were really good, became friends with them later. And then the Ramones went on, played the first album, start to finish. The whole show was maybe 38 minutes or something like that. They walked off stage, did one song encore, and we all, with the 100 of us from Vancouver, were like, okay, that's what punk rock is.
Yeah.
That. And we'd see it on TV, and Sex Pistols in Riot, Yobs beat up Johnny Rotten or whatever, you know, whatever was going on, you know, that sensationalized punk rock. But when we saw the Ramones play, we went like, got it. So luckily, I was able to play 6 shows with them, became friends with them, and it's like, you know, sadly they're all gone, obviously, right? But they wrote the textbook on that, right? You know, like how you play, how you jam the songs here, how you write songs, right? It was just like, yeah. And there's lots of other good bands, but to me, they're A1. You know? Yeah.
Well, they were definitely, you know, they they created a sound that sort of hadn't existed before. You know, they're a band that do that every now and again. And they were one of them. I had a very similar experience a couple of years after DOA were in St. John's. We brought SNFU down.
Oh, cool.
We had the same thing happen. The venue got found out what was happening. They canceled us. We ended off in an abandoned apartment that a friend of a friend's parents owned.
Yeah.
We jammed like 100 people into this like living room, kitchen, dining room of this apartment, and brought in a PA. But there was no way to separate the band from the kids. So myself and Mike Bueller and Clark Hancock and Danny Thomas and Chris Jarrett, we all sort of formed a human wall in front of the band, and we locked arms. So like Chai was like 2 feet in front of me, and Muck was playing bass. He had that big Ampeg. I'd never heard an Ampeg before. And as a young bass player, for the 60 minutes they played, it was the most eye-opening experience I'd ever had in life. And that was what drove me to, you know, that was the drug that has fueled me now for 35 years of playing music. It was listening to that Ampeg SVT, like right in my face for 60 minutes. I'd never heard anything like it.
And great band too, right? Yeah.
Oh, Chai was on top of his game. You know, he had the dreads going and he was spinning and jumping off the ceiling. It was unbelievable, you know. But it was that moment where I saw it. It was like, this is how it's done, you know. It's amazing, that aha moment, and I think in hardcore too, because it's something that you can listen to the records, but to feel the energy of the room and the people and the passion of the culture and the support that everybody has is fantastic.
Yeah, and I think it's that energy that you got, and it's the same thing with the early records too, right? Why people go, oh, this early era of punk rock, you know, from 77 to 85, let's say. And there are lots of good records made after that. I'm not like, I only like this, so I like all sorts of things. But and the people from the rock crowd go, oh, well, listen how poorly produced this is. But when you put those records on, you put on an old Black Flag record or like Minor Threat, it's the energy that was contained in the studio. Yeah, sure, there's some rough edges. Sure, it's not perfect, but it's way more crazy than what rock and roll was producing at the time. And that's what drew me into it. It was just like, wow, okay. And it was like punk rock, great thing about it is that freedom of expression. You know? Yeah,
and it's very open. I love how
there's no rules to it, right?
Exactly. And the culture is embraced, you know, in the years, the 30 odd years that I've kind of, you know, had my head tuned into the punk rock scene. It's open, you know. I've seen reggae and hip hop and metal and country. I've seen every genre of music infuse with punk rock at some shape or form, and it's always highly supported. It's amazing. It's a great culture.
Yeah. It kind of kills me when I see the modern country people, they put on a cowboy hat and they wear a Ramones shirt. I'm like, oh dear. Whatever, it's a free society. You can wear whatever you want. I'm not saying.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It's funny, the Ramones, for some reason, that Ramones logo shirt, it has made it into like every piece of fashion.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
probably so much.
So yeah.
I mean, there are the bands, the Dead Kennedys, DOA, of course, you have your logo that has been around for years, and even Black Flag. I mean, one of the most immediately recognizable things. But somehow that Ramones crest just made it like it.
Yeah, having the baseball bats crossed at the bottom. It's just like, okay, that is brilliance, right?
it's just amazing how they did that. They really sort of infiltrated every aspect of culture. It's fantastic. Yeah. So you mentioned that you were you had thought about going to school for a civil rights lawyer, and you became a punk rocker. You played punk rock your whole life. You've built a label, Sudden Death Records. Now, when I think punk rock, I mean, you think back to SST Records and Alternative Tentacles and all these things, and it seems like 2 or 3, sort of teenagers living in a house, pressing their own CDs and stuffing out the mailers and sending them all out. Do you have a corporate office? Do you have people working for you? Is there an actual physical location where this stuff gets distributed through, or is it all coming out of your house? Like Sudden Death Records is a massive business, correct?
Well, I don't know about massive, but we put out like 140 releases over the last 20 years or so.
That's big.
And it's going well. Basically, I'm kind of the guy. I'm the president, the shipper, the phone guy. So it's kind of like it was pretty funny. Like maybe 25 years ago, I phoned up my friend Fat Mike and I said, "Well, DOA's run through a few labels. How about getting on your label?" And he went, "Joe, you're stupid. You'll do way better if you start your own label. Look what I did, right?" And I went, "Oh, okay." And I had like when DOA first did the first like 5 singles, like Disco Sucks, World War III, a couple other ones, Burn It Down. We did on Sudden Death Records, and it was just kind of like one of those things. Like we pressed it, and same thing. We sat around the front room, had a few beers, and put the vinyl in the sleeves and stuff like that. You can see it was so fresh that you get fingerprints and thumbprints on it because we didn't wait to dry. And it's like whatever. We're so excited. And then I would take him my old beat up car, which barely ran. I took him to 5 different record stores in Vancouver and sell them for $1. And then they would sell them for $1.25. And I thought, well, they cost me 80 cents. I'm making 20 cents a record. This is going pretty good, right? So it. But the funny thing was that's how DOA got going, because I would take envelopes, no padding, no reinforcement. I put a Disco Sucks single in. Mm-hmm. What I used to do is go to a record store and with a notebook, and I'd write down the addresses of like magazines, clubs, like in the back of like Kerrang or something like that. You saw listings. And I didn't have money to buy the magazines, right? And I didn't have money for long distance calls. So I put this envelope, Disco Sucks single. It's like, "Hi, we're a punk rock band from Vancouver. We'd like to come and play in your town. If that's okay, please write me back here." And I mailed out 2 or 3 or 400 of these things, right? And it's just like, and then we mailed one to a record station in San Francisco, College Station. And about 3 weeks later, we got back this letter. It said DOA is #1 on the station. And of course, we didn't know that college stations were small compared to like some giant rock station. Right. And we looked at this and we're like, me, Chuck, and Brandon were like, "Whoa, we made it." Like I said, we didn't know jack, right? Like we just learned everything on the fly. But we went down there and played the Mabuhay Gardens, which is like basically the equivalent to the 100 Club or CBGB's for San Francisco. Yeah, like the legendary club. And made friends with the Avengers, made friends with the Dead Kennedys. And it was outrageous. And all of a sudden we had a home away from home. And we started going to California like 6 times a year. Somebody would say, "Hey, you want to come down next week, play with Black Flag, play with Red Cross?" "Yep, okay, we'll see you in 5 days." And we just drive down there, right? And it was that kind of scene. So It was basically, yeah, it's my home away from home down there.
So let me ask you a question here.
Sure.
I've spent a lot of time touring myself all over. I've done empty clubs in northern Russia to the Air Canada Center in Toronto. I've been all over. I loved it. A lot of my travel, I was playing with rock bands. We were on, sort of Canadian labels, and we had some funding, not a lot.
Yeah.
And I remember sort of during the 90s and 2000s touring with all the Canadian bands. Everybody from 5440 and the Headstones, Tea Party, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that was sort of what I grew up with. And I knew those people, and we'd meet at the hotels, at 3:00 in the morning when you're checking into your hotel, or you're parking your tour bus so your driver can have or the van so that a driver can go and get a shower and stuff. You'd cross paths with the other musicians who were touring, and you'd see each other at the gas stations and all that. And when you had time, you'd go to check out a show and stuff. But it wasn't the same sort of camaraderie that I imagine, like in that period of, sort of 77 to 85, where the punk bands were like, you were all kind of living with each other, helping each other out. Like that was where you got your next meal from, was, the next band that you were going to play with the next night you were hanging out with. Can you give me some perspective on what that was like to be living that life at a time when there was, DOA, Black Flag, Dead Kennedys? I could list for an hour, but you know what I mean? Yeah. You were hanging out with these people that are worldwide icons in a scene, just as you are. But as kids, did you know what was happening? Did you have any idea how important it was? Or was it just a great time?
No, just kind of it was a funny thing the way it built up. You're quite right that we didn't think about too much. Right? We knew it was getting more popular and stuff like that, right? And Dead Kennedys took off, and of course, Ramones were big, Clash, Pistols broke up, whatever, but they sold a bunch of records, that kind of thing. But the next class down, like the DOA, the Minor Threat, Black Flag, where didn't achieve the success right away. I mean, later on, obviously type thing did. We just would exchange notes. So what I found, I have good friends with the Black Flag guys, especially one guy in particular, Chuck Chakowski, bass player, and because he would do the same thing as me, sort of try and manage the next show and like make sure everybody got there. So me and him would exchange information, like, okay, well, don't play there. That guy will rip you off. Okay, or you play here, that guy will give you $50 and a crappy place to sleep on the floor, right? But better than nothing, whatever, right? And so when it came, so the Dead Kennedys, I say, were big, so they would fly in and play a big show and then fly home. But Black Flag and DOA drove around, right? So we would go, for a lot of people, like say in Europe and especially, and all over North America, especially, the first band, the punk rock band they saw was DOA and or Black Flag. And you could tell, so the next time you go to that town, you could tell who had got there first, because the support band, and Black Flag had been there first, the support band sounded kind of like Black Flag, or the support band sounded kind of like DOA. They were like, right. Oh yeah, we saw these guys. That's how you do, and it just kind of wrote this map, and it's just exchanged all this information, but I never did think that, okay, this is like, this is legendary or whatever type of thing. We didn't really have a thought about that. Like, it's just, let's just get it done. Let's be adventurous and, make the best of it. Right.
Wow. Yeah. And you did, what was it? You're into like 20 albums plus a couple live albums, a bunch of compilations, your new solo record. Yep. And over the course of the years, am I correct? You've had 28 musicians in DOA?
I just went through that the other day. A journalist friend of mine, 27, I think. I got the list here somewhere. I was just looking at this morning. I think there's like 25 different lineups. Yeah. Now, some people say I'm hard to get along with. So if they say that, then usually I'm joking, right?
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of like people change, right? But one of the things that a real key element to DOA was the camaraderie. As people change, go like, okay, like Chuck at one point. Chuck was great, like fantastic drummer, what a talented guy. Yeah. And good songwriter too. And at one point he just had enough, and he went, I quit, and they joined Black Flag. They joined Circle Jerks, Social Distortion, Danzig, right, legendary drummer. But it was just like, he wasn't having fun at it anymore. So just like, 4 years to hang around with me and Randy was enough, I guess, right? And people change, like one thing I never really put up is when people got too wasted. You can't dance, try and steer them in the right direction. But you can't play shows when you're wasted, or you're starting to develop a drug habit.
Yeah.
That like that's when your friends need to help you try and straighten out, because we've all lost too many friends from this BS. It's like, and it's getting worse and worse as time goes on. Right now, we've seen with the opioid crisis, is like, what happened is just nothing compared to what's happening now, right? So,
Yeah, that's what it's. I keep talking to all the young musicians, all the sort of 19 to 25-year-olds that I talk to, and every now and again they're like, "Do you got anything you can pass on to me?" And I'm like, "Stay away from the hard drugs, like even booze and weed, like just be aware. It can really lead you. It can take away everything you've ever wanted, and it's
and wreck your life and wreck your family, all that kind of thing, right? So, and a lot of people, like you see some real inspiration people in music, they didn't make it to 30 years old.
Yeah.
Right. It's just like it got the better of them. So yeah, that would be my advice too. Just don't do drugs. This is not, and booze isn't that great either. But
I wanted to say congratulations on the Vancouver meltdown that's happening May 11th.
Yeah, that's gonna be great.
Is that going to be how did that all come together?
Well, we've been playing, there's a great place in Vancouver called the Rickshaw, which is like in the middle of the roughest area of the downtown east side, roughest area in Canada. Yeah. Which is basically kind of where I grew up and learned how to play music and all the clubs, right? It was like our stomping grounds. So what we played there like 6 times in the last 8 years. So time for a change. So back to the Commodore, which is like kind of the greatest ballroom in Canada type thing, or close to it anyways, right? So it's great to be back there, and good friends with John Wright from X No Means No, now Dead Bob, his new band, and Ford is in that band. He used to play guitar in DOA, so it was like a natural fit, right? So we think it's going to be a great show, May 11th, and we have a whole bunch of shows coming up, 4 different kind of 2-week mini tours this year.
Okay.
And working on, I've got almost all the songs written for a new album, so we'll record that in the summer, so they'll be out February next year. And there's a documentary that's coming out called Something Better Change. Yeah. That's pretty well complete. So we think that should be, being entered in film festivals. So we think that should be available to air by about mid this year or September at the latest. Right. So it's half about DOA and then half about me and activism and getting into politics.
Yeah, I didn't. That was where I was going to go next, but there's lots of information out there about you and your municipal councillor for the town of Burnaby, right?
Yeah, I'm in my 2nd term, so I got reelected, so I must be doing something right.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. It's
if people want to see what's happening with me or DOA, just go to suddendeath.com.
Again, thank you so much for being on the show. I can't say what a thrill it is to talk to you in person and just tell you how much of an impact you've had on me. And thank God DOA have existed.
Yeah, and we're not going to Newfoundland, but let your friends out there in the Maritimes know we'll be out there doing a bunch of shows around Canada Day.
Oh, excellent.
We'll be in Ontario mid-September, like playing Toronto, Montreal, etc., Southern Ontario, right? So.
Okay, well, me and Cam Carpenter will come out and see you when you're in Toronto.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. You have yourself a great day.
Okay, you too. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Okay.
Bye.
Hey folks, thanks for tuning in to the Whiskey Wednesday show. Every Wednesday we will be here, rain or shine, richer or poorer. Tip jar is in the link above. Never expected but always appreciated. Never confuse the size of your paycheck with the size of your talent. I've got all the money I'll ever need if I die by midnight. Always appreciated, never expected. Please feel free to drop us a line regarding anything, including a link to your money. Cheers. I'm back. Oh my God.
And we're glad to see you're back. Now we've seen your front.
I know. Such a fun such a fun interview that was. It was wow. I can't even talk about it. So good. Thank you, Joey, for being on the show. Really, really, really appreciate that. And thanks to all of you for tuning in tonight. We're going to play a couple tunes to play out here. I just realized that I forgot the words for this one here. I forgot to print them out, so I'm hoping my phone doesn't shut off, and we'll give this one here a try. Now, this one, punk rock. Well, see, now that's where the question arises. I don't know. But I can tell you, when I was 14 or 15, I was down at Fred's Records, and I bought Motorhead's self-titled album. I think, no, it wasn't the self-titled. It was, I can't remember. But it came in a black leather sleeve that was stitched all around. It had the big embossed silver Motorhead logo on the front. And then inside this leather sleeve was a record, like an actual record that came out, like the full sleeve and everything, like the jacket and all that was inside this protective thing. And I got it, and Sean Doran just fucking lost his shit when he saw it. He's like, I need that. I just need the leather. So I ended off giving him the leather jacket, which he then proceeded to cut and sewed onto his jean jacket, making the coolest fucking jean jacket I'd ever seen.
World, yeah.
And I didn't even realize that I fucking had it. So Sean was a punk rocker. He was a dirty punk rocker. Sean was one of those dirty punk rockers. He loved the dirty, like sort of filthy from Motorhead. You know, he kind of looked like him. Just Sean Doran, great guy, great cat. Anyways, we'll send this one out to Sean Doran tonight. I am sure you're not watching. I haven't heard from Sean in a long time. The last conversation I think I had with Sean Doran was something like,
Give me my patch back.
no, I just remember him saying, oh, I didn't know you were into cocaine. And then there was a whole big conversation after that. That's one of the last times I saw him. But I wasn't actually into cocaine at the time.
Well, if you like to gamble, I tell you I'm your man. You win some, you lose some, it's all the same to me. The pleasure is to play, makes no difference what you say. I don't share your greed, the only card I need is the ace of spades, the ace of spades. Playing for the high one, dancing with the devil, going with the flow, it's all a game to me. 7 or 11, snake eyes watching you. Double up or quit, double stakes or split, the ace of spades, the ace of spades. You know I'm born to lose and gambling's for fools, but that's the way I like it, baby. I don't wanna live forever. And don't forget the Joker. Pushing up the ante, you know you gotta see me. Read 'em and weep, the dead man's hand again. I see it in your eyes, take one look and die. The only thing you see, you know it's gonna be the ace of spades, the ace of spades.
Oh, so much fun, so much fun. Well, that's going to round out the music portion of the night, except, hold on, we're not letting you go that easy. we've still got a stiff little fingers tune coming up. Part of our video rewind this evening. Flash. We need a big image for that, Barry. I've just decided. Whenever I say video rewind, you push a button. It'll be a graphic. It'll be like an explosion, like flash, and it'll say, what did I say it is? Video rewind. It'll be very cool. Allison likes it when I use my arms a lot. She said it makes for good pictures. So we're going to end with a little, what do you call it? Stiff little fingers. Before we do my correction, I was talking about Cheb Backpaw last year and last week, and I was talking about the band name and how it came about. Cheb Cat Backpaw. C.H. Clark Hancock. E.B. was the reverse of Bob Earl. Cheb Cat C.T. K.T. It was K, not a C. K. Tizzard. Yeah, it was Ken Tizzard, me. B.C. Bruce Cooper, and P.W. Phil Winters. And I was saying that was the band that I played with. Now, that was the name, and that was where the name came from, because there was a period of time where I was putting together a band, and it was with those people. Phil Winters was Pa. Did I say that? Anyways, Cheb Cat Backpaw. That entire group of people never actually happened. But when you're 14 or whatever, and you start talking to some people about playing in a band together, you start to think, and you start anyway. So that's where the whole sort of Cheb Cat Backpaw name came from. But it was actually myself, Mike Monroe, and there's no M's in Cheb Cat Backpaw. Clark Hancock was in the band, and Danny Hamilton. And I'm going to tell you a little story. We went out to play in Twillingate. We were on tour with the amazing Glenn, who danced on flaming broken glass at midnight. I'll tell you that story again another time. I've already told it, but tonight's story isn't about the amazing Glenn, who danced on flaming broken glass, if I hadn't mentioned it, at midnight. We're playing a bar in Twillingate, and it's a beer drinking bunch of baymen. I mean, it is a bay bar back in 1980, whatever it was. And Cheb Cat Backpaw is a band. We were playing Psycho Killer by the Talking Heads, Elephant Talk by King Crimson, like just the weirdest stuff. We weren't playing what the baymen wanted to hear in Twillingate. And anyways, the night went on after the amazing Glenn danced on his flaming broken glass while we played Proud Mary, and he sang it. He'd sing Proud Mary while pouring. He'd get a handful of glass shards and he'd pour lighter fluid on it and light it on fire while he was singing, and he'd drop them all over his face, and his face would be on fire with broken glass. Sorry, I said I wouldn't tell the amazing Glenn story. He now refurnishes furniture somewhere out around the bay if you're interested in meeting up with him. But anyways, after the show, Clark came up to me and said, "Man, everybody here's on acid. There's a bunch of really good acid going around. Do you want to do some acid?" And I said, "Fuck no." I said, "I'm tired. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to bed." He said, "No, man, come on." He said, "Like, let's do some acid." I said, "I don't want to do any acid tonight, Clark. I'm going to bed." It was really late. And I went to bed, and me and Clark and Mike and Danny were sharing a room, 2 beds. I guess me and Clark were sleeping together, and Mike and Danny, I can't remember. But that was inconsequential because none of us slept. Because as I was falling asleep, I went to bed shortly after that. I left Danny. Danny was over at the bar. Mike Monroe was having drinks with somebody and Clark, and I went back to the room, and I went in and I laid my little head down on the pillow, and I went, "Oh, this is so good." And I heard the door open, and somebody was kind of shuffling around. I kind of opened my eyes, and it was Clark. And I went, "Okay, what the fuck's he doing? Doesn't matter." And I kind of put my head back on the pillow. And then I'm just sitting there with my lips kind of closed, and then I feel like his finger in my mouth. And I woke up and went, "Fuck, what? What are you doing, Clark?" I said, "Man, I told you I don't want to do acid tonight." He said, "You just did." Anyways, so me and Clark and Mike were on acid, which was great. And then about 3:30 in the morning, the door to our hotel room bursts open, and Danny Hamilton flies in, freaking out about the bats chasing him. And there's a bat on the ceiling. And Danny drank a little bit, but he'd never done any drugs in his life. We found out that some people had slipped him a couple of hits of acid in his Coca-Cola that he was drinking after the show. We spent the night trying to get this guy calmed down so we didn't have to go to the hospital. And anyways, this story goes on and on and on. I'll just leave you with that tonight. But Chebcat Backpaw, that is the correction. The name came from a group of people who actually weren't in the band. And boy, we had some fun. Here's a little album sampler video that I put together. The album is coming out April 30th. We're really happy for it. After the album sampler video, we're going to go right into the video rewind. And somewhere between all of those three things, Barry is going to insert the Be Like Steve picture, because that's the message I want to send home to you all tonight. Be like Steve. Neil, thank you once again for being here with us.
My pleasure. Wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
Mr. Grant, always a pleasure. David, just fantastic. Happy birthday once again. And Stan down here at my feet. He got out of the way finally, thank God. Thanks, everybody. A trucker talked him down. Mike Monroe's watching tonight. Yes, you're right. A trucker talked him down. I just remember sitting outside the door. It was about 6 o'clock, maybe 7 o'clock in the morning. The sun was coming up, and it was just starting to, the cool from the night was just starting to disappear. I remember sitting there. I was kind of shaking and smoking a cigarette, and I said, Clark, I said, man, we gotta call an ambulance or something. Like, what if he's dead? And Clark just looked at me and went, if he's dead, what are they gonna do? Like, we're best just not to look at this point. And like the next 2 hours became this entire Clark fucking with my mind about how we shouldn't check in on him, because if he's dead, there's nothing we can do. And, you know, it's just like, oh my God, it just went on and on. Clark Hancock, you will be remembered forever. Oh my. That's the Chebcat Backpaw story for the night this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you so much to Joey Shithead Keith Lee for taking the time to talk to me. And thanks to all the punk rockers that have made the world go round. Charmaine, lovely to see you tonight as well. Sending love. Be Like Steve, and after that, or when whatever order Barry wants to do it, here is the little album sampler. Check this out.
Well, I stopped a long way to hear a politician speak. He stood to stand for something. He's behind those eyes, but I just don't see the good, so goodbye. Broken jobs and broken dreams, a little too old it seems. The life you thought you'd have lives only as an illusion now. It's a long way to travel and $1 for a song. And another town behind and another comes along. His boots are feeling shortly thereafter. You wished you'd never open your mouth. And you I could be a soldier, go out there and fight to save this land. Be a people's soldier, paramilitary gun in hand. I won't be a soldier, I won't take no orders from no one. Stuff the fucking armies, killing isn't my idea of fun. And they wanna waste my life, they wanna waste my time, they wanna waste my life, and they've stolen it away. I could be a hero, live and die for their important cause. A united nation or an independent state with laws. The rules and regulations that merely cause disturbances and wars. That's all that I've got now, all thanks to the freedom-seeking hordes. And they wanna waste my life, they wanna waste my time, they wanna waste my life, and they've stolen it away. I'm not gonna be taken in. They say if I don't join, I just can't win. I've heard this story many times before, and every time I'm going out the door. Ooh, still they come up to me with a different name, but the same old face. I can see the connection with another time and another place. Now they ain't blonde-haired and blue-eyed, but they think that they're the master race. But they're nothing but blind fascists brought up to hate and give lives to waste. And they're gonna waste my life, they're gonna waste my time, they're gonna waste my life, and they've stolen it away. What they gonna do? They're gonna waste my life, they're gonna waste my time, they're gonna waste my life, and they've stolen it away. Oh yeah, they've stolen it away. Oh yeah, they've stolen it away.
There we go. A little new version of Stiff Little Fingers there.
Once again, thanks for spending another Wednesday with us here at Storyhouse Studios. Thanks to Trainer, Yorkville, and a Longtooth Beverage Company for being a part of the show. We love our time on the Whiskey Wednesday show and appreciate all of your support. Don't forget to hit up the tip jar if you feel so inclined. Never expected, but always appreciated. Tune in every week for more guests, songs, stories, drinks, and gear talk. And don't forget to visit the website, www.kentizzard.com, to sign up for the Whiskey Wednesday wrap-up. Compiled by Allison, this is a monthly overview with highlights, directories of songs, and so much more. Be kind, be helpful, be happy, be safe. See you next week.
The seal on a Jim Beam cannon.